Welcome back to another episode of Keoni Chats. I'm excited for this episode. I'm excited for every episode and every guest that comes onto the show, just because I love to help get their stories out there. I think they're telling great stories, and I'm a little more excited for this one because I don't know the next time I'll be able to say that I have a 2-time Super Bowl champion on my show. Dennis Dixon. He is a former Oregon quarterback, a giant pillar in that program and within that school. So I met Dennis about 2018, I believe, where he was hosting a Dixon Fit Community Day. Dixon Fit is his company where he is a personal trainer for those if you just want to get a different kind of workout, or if you're, let's say you have a child that's needing some extra work in whichever sport, Dixon will find a way to get your child or just can get you a great workout and prepare you for your next challenge. So I went to the first community Dixon Fit workout day, and I just remember I took my brother with me, and I was just like, holy crap, that's Dennis Dixon. As we were heading towards the field where he was hosting the workouts, I was just like, oh, wow, he is big. He's right there. And I've watched this man play in Autzen Stadium, and I've seen him tear up defenses. And then I see him also in NFL. He was a Steeler. He was a Raven. He was a Philadelphia Eagle, Buffalo Bill, Arizona Cardinal. So, I've seen him more during the preseasons, and I was like, holy crap, he's right there. So after that first conversation that first workout with Dixon, I was just like, I knew this was my first attempt to try and use my degree, was trying to get an interview with Dennis Dixon, and it worked. I mean, he was amazingly gracious and amazingly kind to sit down with me that had, wanted to talk to him, wanted to hear about his life, but also didn't know where to put that story. So for him to agree to come onto my show and have this is a third, fourth conversation, because he and I have, we've sent some messages to each other here or there, nothing too extensive, but for him to agree to come back onto the show, and with how busy he is, I was just like, man, thank you so much. I'm beyond grateful that I had this opportunity. So, Dennis, I didn't want to go too deep into his football accolades and his football, his college football and NFL credentials, just because when it comes to being an athlete, professional athlete, I do feel like they do focus a lot on that and not enough on the story of the person itself. So that's more where I was. Obviously, I'm going to ask him some questions about being in the NFL and also about being Oregon Duck that helped move the system, or just move that title of University of Oregon basketball school to University of Oregon football school. So that was just so much fun, honestly. And the fact that I asked him about what it's like to be next to Ray Lewis. That's this weird sentence I've never thought I'd be able to say. So I just hope that he had a tight schedule, but I'm gracious and happy that he was able to fit me in. So I was very respectful of his time. So this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode for everyone that's been a consistent follower of the show. So speaking of the show, if you would like to, I do announce the episode releases on social media. So if you would like to follow the show on social media, that would be KC Media 13 on both Instagram and Twitter, and then Conluke Media on Facebook. So the show is also available on all podcast platforms and YouTube under Keoni Chats. So subscribe, follow, and then I think on YouTube you can hit a bell button that will give you notification when a new episode is released. I believe on those other ones, once you follow, you'll be notified. But so if this is your first time checking out the show, I urge you. I understand Dennis is a giant figure, especially in the Oregon area and just all across the college football landscape. Check out my other episodes. Granted, again, we probably won't know many of my guests, but I think they are telling great stories and telling great just testimonials on how they're able to overcome certain obstacles in their lives. And I know it's helped me a lot to be able to talk with not just Dennis, but Juwan and everyone else. And, even talking to my mom, just hearing about her life and how she was able to overcome some things that I truly didn't know about. So, yeah, follow the show on social media, follow the show on podcast platforms and YouTube. Yeah, and also, if you like to have more creative content from myself, so if you're on YouTube, on the lower right hand corner as the interview progresses, you'll see my website, keoniconlu.com, KEONICONLU.com. So check that out. That's where I post the episodes, the YouTube hyperlinks, and then the audio version is also available on my website. I also try to write. I try to do some blogs. So whether it's a DC Animated Universe review series, the NFL mock drafts, I did write a little personal piece on me trying to become a runner when I didn't think I was. So check those out. Those are all located on my website. And no one else is going to promote this but me. So however you are listening to this episode on whichever platform you prefer, or if you are watching on YouTube, I hope you enjoy my chat with Dennis Dixon. That's true. So people that like to watch on YouTube my show, if they see a little bit of a glistening on my forehead, it's because we're in the middle of a pretty high heat wave. How are you keeping cool right now?
Oh man, thank God I got air conditioning. To be honest, I'm just trying to just stay in the house as much as possible, but at the same time, still enjoy outside too. I mean, it's always good to be outside and be in front of like some nice weather like this. Being an athlete, I mean, you always around it all the time anyway, so
Yeah,
it's always good.
you're good and bad, really.
Good
So
and bad, sure.
it's just does this kind of 100-degree type days does it remind you back home in Oakland or?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, it's really hot. I mean, but during the nighttime in the Bay Area, it tends to cool down a little bit. But here, it's just consistent heat, which is good. It's not a dry heat either, so
Yeah.
it's definitely bearable if you do go outside.
Yeah, I just remember like maybe 10 years ago I went down to California for just to see some family or just have a meet up with some family at like Disneyland, and then I just remember taking that first two steps out of the car with the AC on, and I'm just like, oh wow, how do people survive in this?
I'm telling you, I mean, it's a different heat. Like I say, when it comes to Arizona and everything too, I don't know how they do it, but they do.
Yeah. So that transition from like dealing with that kind of hot weather almost consistently to coming up to Oregon where it was obviously known for the rain and then the cold and maybe sometimes giant amounts of snow. How was that
Yeah.
transition for you?
It was a big adjustment, to be honest. But I pride myself on being ready for whatever comes my way, and through a lot of hard work and dedication throughout the off season when it came to a certain sport. Uh, yeah, I became how to say used to it
Mm.
when the time definitely came present itself.
Yeah. Now that kind of stride to always be prepared. What parent would you say that you got that from, or was it from someone not from a parent?
I say the mix of both, but mostly probably my dad. Growing up, I had a great support system, and my mom. My mom was more on the education side. She still had a sports background too, but she was more on the education side, and my dad was more on the sports.
Mm.
So growing up, it was a great balance growing up for sure to make sure that I kept on a straight and narrow, and I never veered left.
Yeah. Now, were they? Was your mom? How much of a fight did she put for you to stay close to California? Because I assume parents that like have their kid go off to, let's say, Boston, or they might be a little harder to like adjust to that. But I mean, luckily, it's just a state up. So
They didn't really give me any type of pushback when it comes to just staying close to home. Whatever gave me the opportunity to be able to progress in my sports, and not only my sports, but just in my studies. My goal, in high school, I wanted to kind of get a full scholarship. I never really wanted my family to kind of really pay for that.
mhm.
And that was pretty much just my token of appreciation. Um, and showing them the hard work that we put in, when high school, making that next level. That was pretty much our goal. So I never really had just know, I say I never really like pushed away any like east schools or down south schools or anything. It just played that way, to be
Yeah. And then
honest. Yeah.
how do you kind of keep yourself from having your not just your ego but just like your personality get a little too big? Because as I assume, I mean, I played high school football and I wasn't the greatest, but like just to talk with you and know that your career, how it kind of progressed, and how'd you keep yourself grounded? Like, let's say for example, when you got drafted for baseball your junior year of high school, how do you keep yourself like check that, okay, I'm still a kid, still have to learn, still have to be a kid, I'm not thinking about too far ahead. How'd you do that?
Oh, oh, that's tough. That's tough. I think in high school, I think my mom and my dad threw every ball in front of me. They wanted to keep me busy as much as possible. Off season wasn't really an off season for me.
Mhm.
I transitioned to another sport. Obviously, when you transition to another sport, it's a different mindset. But at the same time, you still got the same goal, to continue to win, continue to get better throughout the process too, with like-minded people. So I always had that in the back of my head there, and knowing that I am definitely a team player, and I want to be able to put my best forward when my name is called. So
Yeah.
I always try to prepare myself in the off season for each sport, for any type of situation that comes my way.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, you have to be like somewhat. I mean, a little bit of a confidence boost knowing that you got drafted junior year in high school. That was pretty cool, right?
That's a big deal. It's a big
Yeah.
deal, especially in baseball. Baseball has a lot of rounds and has almost like 50 rounds in it.
Yeah.
And I got drafted in the 20th round by the Cincinnati Reds. It's not bad at all, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But as a family, we feel as if we can be able to get better in that. And knowing that I can get drafted my junior year in college, we decided just to continue to finish my studies in high school, make sure I continue to get my degree there and be able to progress at the next level. So I was definitely granted that again, which I am truly blessed for.
Mhm.
Um, and I made the most of it. And believe it or not, it came out even better. I was drafted in the fifth round by the Atlanta Braves, so that was a significant jump. So um, with timing and opportunity and being patient throughout the process, it got me to a bigger and better slot.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I can on because I play football. I mean, I play Madden, and then I do the simulations. I'm like, I wonder how do they keep themselves like composed during like that lead into like signing day, and just that whole like there's some glitz and glamour when it comes to being a high school
Oh, of
athlete that's high
course,
and prominent.
of course,
So
of
for
course.
for you now, was that also hard to kind of keep yourself too excited from the lead into your signing day?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, obviously, you're still a kid. You're going through the proms. You're going through all the dances. You're just trying to be overall kid too. But I just knew for myself I had something bigger in mind,
Hmm.
and that just comes from just my family and like I say, my support system, from all the coaches, from all the private workouts and everything. Hard work does pay off. I just had a different mindset at the end of the day because being born from Oakland, California, there's not a lot really in the positive direction going on at that time, and
Hmm.
I wanted to be one of the success stories coming out. So I had to put the work in to be able to get that done, and I'm forever grateful for my process thus far.
Yeah. And so, for my calculations, I believe you entered University of Oregon about 2004, 3 or 4,
Three.
3.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then I can't remember that. Would that be like Joey? Oh, Joey
That
Heisman. Oh,
that's the end of Joey. Yeah,
yeah,
end of Joey.
Harrington. That's
Yeah,
correct. Yeah,
Joey Harrington. Yeah.
yeah. What was it like just to kind of learn how to be a college student or college athlete from someone that was kind of taking the Eugene area by storm?
Oh man, it was definitely a big adjustment. Being a city boy and coming to a small town like Eugene, it was definitely a culture shock for sure. But um, I just felt the vibe when I went there for my visit. It just clicked for me. It just really made sense. Coaches, were support and everything, from education, obviously the sport itself. But all the schools that had me in interest, Oregon. At that time it wasn't really known for a football school.
No, yeah.
It was known for the basketball school,
Yep.
to be honest. You got the Luke Rittenhowers, you got the other Luke to Luke. It was a lot going on from a basketball standpoint. And I really wanted to, put my foot down and put my best foot forward, and try to turn that around, and have it become a football school. And obviously with a lot of good recruits that were around me, I had a lot of good pieces around me to really make that happen. And throughout the 4 years, we made that come true.
Yeah. Was there any like obviously you don't have to name names, but can you describe what was kind of the significant argument someone proposed to you to like go to Oregon versus say other schools that were rivaling for your attention?
Well, I was always a big Achilles Smith fan, to be honest. Just looking at all the schools that were recruiting me and everything, and that was pretty much one of the biggest things. Like if he had an opportunity to be there too, I wanted to do the exact same thing. Didn't really know Joey at the time, but Joey was definitely up for the Heisman as well too. So that was a big key, in the right direction for a football program that hasn't really put themselves on the map fully like that.
Hmm.
But I say between those two, and obviously Kenny Wheaton, big big fan of him as well.
Hmm.
It kind of really boosted me in the direction of going to the University of Oregon. I'm happy that I made that choice.
I mean, if I know Keeley played a little bit at Cincinnati, and then if you were to be drafted, like you would have followed through with the junior high
Yeah,
school, you two could have been the same city.
yeah, I wanted to be just like
Oh,
him for
oh
sure. It
man.
kind of really to really come out of nowhere and really shock the world by storm, and to
Yeah.
be drafted in the first round, the top pick too, and everything. Like that's exactly what I wanted. So
Yeah.
uh, I saw that he did that at the University of Oregon. I feel as if I could have done it too.
Yeah. And then Joey did that too.
Yep, Joey did it too. Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then, the 2007 season, obviously you've probably been asked this a ton. I've asked you this when, a little bit, actually a little backstory is like, we met and then you were very gracious enough to just come have some random kid talk to you about your history that ultimately didn't go anywhere because he didn't know where to post it. But, your 2007 season where you're just you're lighting the Pac-10, then Pac-10 up, and then you have your injury. Um, Prior to that, I was kind of curious. So a play that's executed perfectly, like it kind of parting of the seas when it comes to the defensive and the offensive, and you see the end zone. What's your first thought?
My first thought is to be able to get the ball first. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't do anything until anything is done. So having that chemistry with your center goes a long way.
Mhm.
And obviously, with a lot of film study, when you see things really developing in a way that it should, um, it's it's a beautiful thing for sure. Like when someone is on fire from a basketball standpoint and they can't miss a bucket because they feel as if they're shooting into an ocean, it's the same thing from a quarterback standpoint too. Once you get in the rhythm, it's kind of really no stopping us, to be honest. We can only stop ourselves. So it was one of those moments. Things parted up like you said, like the Red Sea, and the rest is history.
Yeah, because I think I've maybe seen some like NFL films where maybe it's like Kyler Murray. He's just like he sees his Duke Hopkins open. You just see him smiling, and then that just gets posted everywhere. Obviously, social media
Yes,
wasn't to the same level where it is now back in your day, but I can imagine just a lot of photos of you, just the biggest grin in the world because it's like,
biggest.
bam.
Are you serious? Are you guys really going to do this right now? I see what's going on for sure. Absolutely.
So, before the game, I believe it was against Arizona where you did, tear up your knee, tear up your ACL. Where was your mind at as far as like the draft? Because obviously, I think that was like about mid-season. I just,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
It was in November.
yeah,
November. I partially toured in Arizona State. We was
hmm,
playing them. They were number two, or we were number two. It was a big game. It was
yeah,
on ESPN. Um, my partial tore it there. 2 weeks later, we played Arizona, and that's when I completely tore it. But
yeah.
leading up into the draft and everything, to be honest, my mind wasn't even really set just on NFL. I just wanted to kind of really finish my career out at the University of Oregon. My mindset was getting back to the Braves organization to go right back to Double A,
Oh,
because for baseball, it's Double A, Triple A, and then obviously the majors. So I had I had step two more steps to get to where I really wanted to
yeah,
go, and that's where my mind was, and I was grateful. I appreciated that the Braves gave me an opportunity to go finish my career for football, and start where I left off, which is
Mhm.
huge for me. So my mind was there, to be honest, before my injury.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I just for some reason, like, obviously I've never been in your shoes, but it's like I can imagine just, gun ho about, like, I'm gonna be a first round pick. I'm gonna, you're a Heisman candidate. It's like all these things were lining up in the NFL, football world of it all. And then for all that to be crushed, that's gotta,
Right.
like, how'd you dig yourself out of that hole? Because, after the initial shock of the injury and then trying to plan out your next 2 years or so, how'd you dig yourself out of that hole?
Oh man, like I say, I got a huge support system too. I think with the role of my dad, and obviously my mom passing, I dedicated my whole college career to my mom because it was
Mhm.
all about education, education, and I took that to heart. Um, I took it so to heart that during summer I never went home. I took summer classes and everything, and my senior year I had no classes.
Mhm.
So by me getting hurt, it gave me an ample amount of time to kind of do just a lot of rehab. So I rehab 3 times a day. I'm forever grateful to that staff for just kind of really taking the time to really uh, put me all back together. Usually, an ACL tear takes anywhere from 8 to 9 to almost a year to kind of really feel fully confident in doing what you have to do. I came back in 4.5 months to get ready for a pro day at the University of Oregon. That just goes to show the dedication from myself and obviously the great staff at the University of Oregon of give me an opportunity to kind of really display in front of a lot of scouts and everything. So I have to say between that like I say, between my mom and my dad, dedicating my whole college career to her, it
Mhm.
gave me an opportunity to kind of beat the odds, to be honest.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
your mom passed away back in 2004 due to
Yeah.
breast cancer. How was dealing with that news, and how was just trying to process that?
Oh man, it was tough. I'm a mama's boy through and through, and by her not being physically with us, it was hard for me. But I know that if she was, looking down on me, she would want me to continue to carry out what she wanted, and that's to kind of really kind of get a degree and graduate. Um, and the sports that come after that. Obviously,
Hmm.
my dad was definitely tailored to that as well too. So I wanted to keep that same system I had in
Hmm.
high school and transition to the college aspect. So I took that to full heart. Education was more important to me more than anything. And
Hmm.
by me graduating in 3.5 years, that's just a testament of that.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
I just remember it took me a little longer to graduate from UO, but it's like as soon as I got the degree, you can kind of see it in your camera angle. It's like I'm
yeah,
always gonna just show off that, like, I did it. We
yeah. Of
passed through that threshold. Now we're officially adults.
of course. Yeah.
What do you think your mom would have said once, like, your injury happened? What do you think would be, maybe not the first thing, maybe the second thing your mom would have said? Because obviously the first thing would have been like, "Are you okay? I'm worried. How are you doing?" Like, because I when it comes to, like, my football career, if I remember when I just got knocked out for a little bit, and then my dad was like, "Well, you good? Go get back out there." What do you
Right.
think? What do you think your mom would have said?
My mom would have worried, to be honest, for
Yeah.
sure. But
Yep.
at the same time, she's a competitor too, and she wants to get second opinions and everything. So I think the
Mm,
process that I did go through the whole thing, and by me having an extra week to kind of really figure it out before the next game, I would do the exact same thing, and she was here to kind of get the second and third opinion, and pretty much really go from there. By having a partial torn ACL, a lot of people play on that, to be
mhm,
honest. And I really wanted to take the risk. I wanted to leave everything out on the field and show my teammates that I'm just not about just self accolades. I was all about just team, team, team. And
mhm,
I wanted to put my best foot forward. And obviously, by that, it kind of really put my career on hold from a football standpoint. Anything, any sport, to be honest. But
mhm,
pushing through with the great support system that I did have, I can really show my character on the sideline as well. Kind of really being positive, not really being a hermit and kind of really being that negative energy around the team. I really wanted to continue to hold that positive energy and finish on a good note. At least get to a bowl game, get to a bowl win,
Hmm.
um, and just go through and through. And it happened that way too. So I knew that I can kind of really be that actual captain from a sideline as well.
Yeah, because from everything I hear when it comes to like, yeah, let's say I can remember maybe like Tony Romo, for example. I know he's a broadcaster now, but I just remember when he got hurt and everyone's like, oh, he's on the sideline showing support. That's better than not being there. Obviously, he can be there, but in excuse me, but that's I just think being the motivational voice of reason when it comes to like players coming on the field. I think that's just as big as being on the field.
No question, no question. As cliche as it may sound, you still
Yeah.
need those people in your corner too, because the people that are second or third behind you, they probably have never played, let alone in a hostile environment and all that. So they need
Hmm.
people like that to be in their corner around. It goes a long way. Trust me, it really does.
Yeah, and then you end up getting drafted to Pittsburgh. You go from like warm Oakland, California to kind of rainy, cold, sometimes snowy Oregon,
Yeah.
and then you go off to Pittsburgh, which is other side of the country, probably more cold than warm days. How is that kind of moving process from place to place to place?
I mean, it comes with the territory. I think I've been playing sports for a long time now, between baseball and football, doing a lot of tournaments here and there, doing a lot of combines and stuff like that from West Coast to the East Coast. So throughout my high school career, I've been traveling a lot. I think it's
Hmm.
just goes when you're just making that transition from city to city. It's something to kind of get adjusted to early on, but you tend to get used to it. You just want to, wherever you go, you just want to put a stamp and put your best foot forward. At
Hmm.
the University of Oregon, tried to do that for sure, and it got me an opportunity to progress to the next level, which I'm grateful for. For obviously Pittsburgh taking a chance on me, someone that had a partial, had an ACL, pretty much damaged goods, but they want to take a chance on me anyway,
Hmm.
and I'm forever grateful for that. But in Pittsburgh, it's amazing. Obviously, like you say, it goes from hot and it goes extremely cold to snowing and everything.
Yep.
I think Eugene kind of really gave me a little bit of all of that, so I was pretty much prepared for that for sure, but just in a different setting.
Yeah.
I just really wanted to go to the Pittsburgh organization and kind of put my best foot forward and show my teammates that I am there to put my best foot forward at all times.
Yeah, and I remember when you gained the news that you got drafted to Pittsburgh. I was like, okay. I waited a little bit. I found, I think, just like some photos from you during practice, and I'm like, okay, hello, new phone cover, and I'm good. So, you wore number two going into camp. Did you fight? Did you not like literally fight, but just like how much persuasion did you put towards? I believe Santonio Holmes might have had 10 at that point. How
Oh,
much?
trust me, that was the first thing that came to my head. It was like when I first got there, didn't really know San Antonio. I knew of him, but that was the first person I went to go talk to there, and obviously that number was true to him through and through,
Yeah.
and I totally got it. So I just went for two. Being a two sport athlete and everything too,
Ah.
it just went hand in hand. I
Yeah.
really wanted number five, but number five was kind of really taken as well. I just looked at number five being drafted in the fifth round, not only in baseball but football. It just made sense. If I can't be 10, I get at least drop it half to go five. But
Yeah.
um, I utilized two for that reason alone. But
What
yeah,
what
two was a great number.
what does 10 mean to you?
10 is just huge for me. I just, I look at it like that. Just previous, being drafted in both sports in the fifth round, 5 plus 5 is
Yeah.
just 10. And everyone that's worn that around me. Someone that I really looked up to was someone like Vince Young.
Hmm.
Vince Young wore number 10. It was just almost a common number. I really wanted to play like him, if not better. Um, so he really gave me the confidence and the motivation to kind of transition that number into further. So yeah,
Oh, there. Yeah, and again,
yeah.
referring back to our first conversation, I believe I asked you when, who was your kind of role model going into Pittsburgh. You said Charlie Whitebatch. Do you still keep in contact with him, or
Yeah,
do you want to change
yeah.
that answer also? No.
Oh no, no, that's a great mentor, and it's still through to this day. Charlie Batch welcomed me with open arms there. Um, didn't really have a strong relationship with Ben Roethlisberger when I first got there, knowing that me and him were going to be his backups.
Hmm.
So Charlie took me under his wing early and showed me what it takes to kind of really be a professional, not only on the field but off the field. And off the field was more so the most important thing. By Charlie Batch being a home, um, his hometown is Pittsburgh. He knew it in and out, and I really wanted to kind of really follow his footsteps.
Hey, if you're enjoying my chat with Dennis Dixon so far, check out my other show, Conlu's Conversations. Try to see with my co-host Jack Conlu, and follow him on Instagram at JAC_BITW, where we talk about various topics we're interested in. Recently, it's been more NFL, but we're starting to make that shift because he is also a card collector. So we have this crazy idea for mock draft, or for a draft for fantasy football, that we're going to touch base on, and also all the other things that have happened in the NFL. And so we're also open to hearing about what you would like to hear us talk about by either messaging him on his Instagram or myself at KCmedia13. And it's a fun little side project. I'm enjoying it, and you're able to have my brother talk on the mic and just get him some practice, and just seeing what we can joke around about. So follow it on all podcast platforms. No video, so it's a nice quick release that way. So check it out. And now I return you back to my episode with Dennis Dixon.
I stayed at his house, all of that. I mean, from holidays, obviously can't really go back home. He welcomed me. I'm almost like his second brother at the end of the day, which is huge too. So, and that relationship is still strong. I still talk to him all the time.
Yeah.
And he's still doing his thing out there in Pittsburgh now. Now he's being a broadcaster out there in Pittsburgh, and still changing lives, off the field. He's always active around his community. And that's always what I really wanted to whenever I went back home too. So he paved the way, true class act, through and through. There's nobody better in my eyes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then,
Yeah.
so when it came to entering in, I believe that was their Super Bowl run. Now, did you, when it came to this getting your Super Bowl ring, were you kind of thinking, I don't deserve it because I wasn't full on the active roster, or what? When it just the whole process of getting that Super Bowl ring, what was that like, just in general?
I mean, it was so surreal. It was surreal. Like you say, in college, everybody had high hopes, and I did too. Heisman, and potentially going to the national championship and playing people like Tim Tebow and the Gators. Like, that's something that I really wanted to see come through and through. Had I've been fully healthy, and some of my other teammates, other pieces that kind of got hurt throughout the process too, I think we could have got there for sure. There's no doubt. Um, but it didn't happen that way. I never questioned the man upstairs. And he definitely gave me an opportunity to be in the Super Bowl my first year. Not only go there, but win it. Like that, that's a big deal. A lot of players have been playing in the NFL for multiple years and hadn't even got there, let alone win it. So I never really questioned that man for sure. But the process was so surreal. It was everything that I dreamed when I was a little kid. Um, every time the ball get kicked off, all the flickering lights and all the celebrities being there, it was very, very, very impressive for sure. And I was happy just to be on the sideline and kind of witness it. But I never had that in the back of my mind, like I don't deserve it because I wasn't starting or playing or anything. You're always trying to put yourself in that situation whenever that time does come. But obviously, with the situation, they have a franchise quarterback and Ben. And I'm going against the first team in practice every day, so I'm getting better. I'm going against the Troy Polamalu's. I'm going against the James Harrisons every day in practice. So it kind of got me better, and it's kind of continued to hone me on what that is, on being a professional. Like I say, Charlie Batch took me under his wing and really kind of showed me the way, because you never know. You're a play away from playing, so you got to be ready. Nah, I never had that in the back of my mind. I'm happy that I was part of that whole year, amazing year. And obviously Mike Tomlin always got us ready, and it was a great year, like I said.
Out of all those, because that defense has a bunch of big names, like Troy Polamalu, James Harrison, I believe Larry Foote was also on that one.
Yeah.
Brett Kiesel. Who was the biggest goofball of that whole defense, that whole first defense?
The biggest goofball. Oh man, I mean, you got a couple of them, but I have to say, people may not know, but he's all business, but he has his humor at times too. It's Troy Polamalu, to be
Yeah.
honest. Yeah, everybody's known for him to be the Tasmanian devil, but he can play. He can do a couple of pranks in the locker room
Hmm.
and stuff like that. He's a big he's a big little kid, if that makes sense sometimes. But when he steps between those lines, it's all about business, and obviously his game and everything shows. I
Yeah.
think yeah, he's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame this year too. So
Yeah.
I would love to go to that and kind of just see that. But just
Yeah.
being around him and his energy is definitely contagious in a good way.
That bus is gonna be very long in the back. Obviously,
Yes,
you gotta get all the hair. You can't just chop it at the
you're right.
shoulders. That's just weird.
Exactly. It's gonna be so nice, so nice.
And so I wanted to ask because for you being a former player, the whole number change that happened, I think maybe like a couple months ago, just because the NFL is getting a little more relaxed on the rules. I'm one of those traditionalists. It's like if I see a receiver going into NFL, I want to see it between 80 to like 89 or something like that. So for you, what do you were there any players, because you're also talking about like the meaning behind the numbers. Now, I is what are your thoughts on now that receivers can wear the single digits or linebackers can wear single digits? What do you think of that?
I mean, I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. I mean, it just goes to like you say, some things have meanings. It's almost like tattoos. Why do you have tattoos for? It has meaning. It has story. And sometimes a number goes a long way too. Some people, some sports, some athletes are definitely superstitious. All of that. They got to have the right number. They got to
Yeah.
have the same underwear. They got to have such and so forth. So when you're stripping that number away from them and it has meaning about it, that it hurts.
Hmm.
But I mean, obviously it's a job. But by your job opening that up, I'm happy to see it. To be
Yeah. And then
honest,
so for jumping around, so leaving the Pittsburgh locker room after your I believe maybe rookie contract or whatnot, you did find yourself on the opposite end, the rivalry heading to
yeah.
Baltimore back in I believe 2012, where they also had a Super Bowl run. Did they utilize you for like what was the best like thing that they were planning for you to be part of? So like obviously right now Baltimore is using the spread offense, running around a lot with Lamar Jackson. What was your role when it came to leading into the games?
Well, no, my role it was huge. I say between me and Tyrod Taylor, they gave us an opportunity to kind of really be that backup role to Joe Flacco.
Hmm.
Obviously, going to another situation to where like this organization has a franchise quarterback, so you got to know your role. I think I learned a lot my 4 years in Pittsburgh on what it takes to kind of really be that professional. And now I'm really trying to join that with someone that's up my age and Tyrod Taylor. So we had a great time there. Obviously, me and him pretty much had pretty much the same game at the end of the day with the zone reads and stuff by him doing it at VTech and me doing it at the University of Oregon. I feel like the team was really transitioning into that. It was so convenient too because the team that we were playing in the Super Bowl was Colin Kaepernick, and he was known for the zone read and everything. So me and Tyrod played a huge role for our defense to kind of get them ready as to what to expect. When it came to the speed, I think me and Tyrod took care of that by Colin being so fast and obviously elongated and everything. I think me and Tyrod definitely took that to the next level and just the throwing ability too. So I
Hmm.
think someone that was really grateful for that was Ed Reed and obviously Ray Lewis, the captains of the defense. Um, they was really appreciative to that to kind of get them ready for that.
I mean, that Super Bowl is famous for the whole lights going out. Now,
Yeah.
what were your thoughts when that happened?
Man, I already know Super Bowl halftimes are usually long.
Yeah.
They go anywhere from almost 45 minutes, and a normal halftime goes anywhere from almost 13 to 20 minutes. So, when extending an extra 25 minutes on top of that, you can kind of cool off and cool down.
Yeah.
But now the lights done went out, so now it's almost a whole hour. So now we haven't played in a whole hour. So I can only imagine the people that are actually starting and playing, like to kind of really start. get warm, fully warm, and kind of really break down. Um, I can see how that can be difficult, but obviously
Hmm.
being a professional, kind of being ready for all circumstances, I think we handled it fairly well. Luckily, it was inside more
Yeah.
so than an outside game. You were almost normally already warm and ready to go anyway, seeing that you were in a dome. So I think we handled it very well, to be honest.
So I watch NFL mic'd up and whatnot. What is it like being in a Ray Lewis like you know motivational speech before a game? What is that like?
Uh, Man, you definitely got to be there to experience it. It's kind of hard to really kind of put in words, but if I had to say throughout the whole year, we did have a head coach
Hmm.
in Harbaugh, but the coach was really Ray Lewis throughout the entire year. He set the tone for practice. He set the tone for anything. Heck, he'll get you excited to go eat lunch, to go use the bathroom, to do whatever. It was just his energy. It was always positive and it was always consistent, which was huge too. Um, Whenever you kind of really need to pick me up, Ray was always there because sometimes you're going to have a bad day and so forth. I mean, he'd be the first to attest to that too. But doing things together was always his mantra too. It's not an I team; it's always a we for
Hmm.
sure. But those speeches can go anywhere from 5 to almost 10 minutes. And when he's actually in your face and he's constantly beating his hands like this and using his gestures and stuff, he's really getting you worked up and excited to just
Yeah.
go and put on a performance.
Yeah.
And once it's delivered, everybody follows through with it. I promise you, they
Yeah.
always follow through, always.
Yeah.
So I mean, that experience in itself was huge, and to be able to have that last year, that was his last run to be a
Hmm.
Super Bowl run. It was a magical year to see for sure.
Oh,
Absolutely,
that's just that's amazing that you got to be part of that.
yeah,
That season, and then also, I mean, it culminated in another Super Bowl ring, but it's just
yeah.
first one of your career in Pittsburgh in that ring, and then at this point in your career, it's just like, dude, that's just whew,
Yeah,
you got
yeah. It just it started becoming almost like a consistent thing. I think in '08, once I first got to Pittsburgh, I won a Super Bowl. And then 2010, I went to a Super Bowl again, but we lost to the Packers. So every other year, I feel like I was going to the Super Bowl.
it.
2008, 2010, obviously 2012. I'm like, I can get used to this.
Yeah.
I can really get used to this. I'm like, maybe 2014, and it'll probably be another Super Bowl. So always, it's just started going. It was very interesting to say the least, for sure.
That's a great trend to just be on
Yeah,
that bus and just next stop after maybe not this stop but the following one. uh,
yeah.
but you
It
did you
was it
did
was something else.
you did bounce around from some teams here or there, and then now that your NFL career is over for now, well, we don't know.
Yeah,
Where do you keep all the jerseys? Where are the two rings stored? Obviously you don't have to give me the code to the locks, but
yeah.
where do you keep them all?
Oh man, it's definitely in the safe deposit box, safe for sure. I got a couple of jerseys that I got autographed by some unique individuals as well.
Hmm.
But for the most part, everything is pretty much locked up. Some things are somewhere, some things are in California, some things are present where I'm at now. But some of the high values, they are definitely locked up somewhere good, secure.
Yeah. And you got the number
Yeah,
two behind your left shoulder. So
yeah,
look at
that's
that.
one of the jerseys. One of them. One of them.
One of
Yeah,
them. One of them. There you
yeah.
go, man.
Yeah.
So, that the NFL career is over. Obviously, we're moving on to basically I feel like with your mom like pushing education, she's just getting you set up for life after sports. So
Mhm.
then you got to Nike. You worked with Jordan, the Jordan brand. So I believe when I talked to you, you were kind of an integral part of Jordan becoming the sponsorship for UNC. How? I mean, once that project was finalized, I mean, I did landscaping for a while, and my biggest takeaway was like it's instant gratification. It's like you mow the lawn, it looks fantastic. You can take a step back and just really Superman pose and be like, I feel good about this. What was your
Mhm.
like Superman pose when it came to finalizing that whole deal?
Well, I mean, I got to credit the whole team, kind of being a part of that brand, the brand marketing team. We really wanted to kind of really put ourselves on the map, not only from a basketball standpoint, but knowing that, everybody has that Mike, that MJ mentality, not only on the basketball field, but it can transition to other sports as well too. And by UNC, by him going to the University of North Carolina, it just made sense to kind of transition with them first. And then after that, other teams just kind of really start trickling in and kind of really making sense. I'm just happy to be part of that. I knew that football wouldn't last forever, and I got to really transition and see what that next step for myself was. And I always wanted to be around sport. If I couldn't play it, I couldn't talk about it. Why not, produce product and how I say workouts and stuff like that, photo shoots for those same like-minded people. So I found Nike and Jordan kind of really fill that void for a little bit. It was amazing 3 years too, and I'm just happy to be part of something that's really transitioned to something very big now with a lot of sponsorships and not only college schools but high school got grassroots and obviously individual athletes too. It's always good to kind of really just see other people. When you put that brand on, it's something special. It's the elite group and
Mhm.
people follow course to it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing the brand right now, so
Yeah,
it,
awesome.
it's definitely the fact that also it's born in Oregon, Eugene, where you and I are alumni. So it's a little bit specialer feeling. I don't think
Yes.
special is a word, but that's okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I get you. I get what you mean.
So you're wearing a shirt for Dixon Fit, which
Yeah,
is your fitness company. Now,
yeah,
with this podcast, the job I have right now, it helps fund it. It helps fund it when it comes to like buying new equipment, or just funds it when I guess buying new equipment is the best way to put it. How did Nike help Dixon Fit kind of get off the ground?
Oh, it's huge. I would say, doing brand marketing, like I say, I always wanted to be around the sport. If I couldn't play it, talk about it, I always want to be around the athlete. That's one thing is most like a lot of athletes miss. They miss the camaraderie within the locker room. And obviously being a quarterback, you're going to be in the limelight regardless if you like it or not.
Hmm.
And I told myself that, when football is over, I don't want to be incognito. I always want to be in the forefront, just like I was playing. Um, I was never really really into fitness when I was actually playing. Didn't took it for granted, to be honest, and that's
Hmm.
why I was a stick. And I don't know how I survived, to be honest, but I think I've got that mentality from Ray Lewis and them. Like I
Yeah.
say, he got you kind of motivated to kind of do whatever.
Yeah.
And that's when I really got focused into the gym and started understanding as to what the benefits can be able to lay out for sure, longevity wise.
Yeah.
And as I transitioned into the role that I was at with the brand marketing team, I was a specialist in football and baseball training. And that's kind of what things kind of took off for me. I really started being around the athletes that I really wanted to be around. I started like creating like obviously workouts and programs for our sponsor, high schools, colleges, and obviously individual athletes whenever they needed it. That kind of really got my juices flowing. Like, man, I can be able to do this outside for sure. The
Hmm.
way that I want to, because obviously there's a Nike way, there's always a Jordan way of doing things, and sometimes it didn't really meet eye to eye for me. And I knew that uh, I wanted to kind of really do it this way, but I didn't want to ruffle any feathers or walk on eggshells as I were doing it. So,
Hmm.
by me, being there for 3 years, it taught me a lot on just marketing and how to brand yourself and do this X, Y, and Z. Um, and once I kind of left the brand, I think in 17, 18,
Hmm.
Dixon Fit came into fruition. I started kind of using my resources as much as possible. Never burn them. Don't burn them for sure. You never know when they'll play back to your life for sure. So I think by me staying so close to the brand and being so loyal, um, they gave me like a consultant role to kind of really do a lot of projects with them outside. And that's how pretty much Dixon Fit kind of really started. And then I started taking individual clients. I started kind of getting all my certifications to make me that much improved too with my resume and my background and kind of continue to have the certifications to follow it. It just kind of really made sense. I just want to be around athletes and develop them now. and kind of be where I was, if not further. Um, and just continue to have that positive mindset. Like I say, I miss that camaraderie. I love to see someone that is fragile and kind of see them just kind of just blossom. It's a beautiful thing. So not only am I doing it from a performance side with the elite athletes, I'm catering to the general population too, and it's just the same thing. I just want people to win in life,
Yeah.
and continue to have a mindset of an athlete, always being ready on their P's and Q's, and continue to be proactive now so you won't have any problems later.
Keoni Chats is proudly sponsored by Cove Hard Yerba Mate. Josh Meckler is a good friend and former guest of the show, and after his episode where he told me about the origins of Cove and his interest in the alcohol industry, I was curious as to what does yerba mate tasted like. So after I went to the store and grabbed that yellow can that says yerba mate, and I got the flavor, I got the understanding, the baseline, and I'm just like, okay, how does this taste with alcohol? So after Josh's episode, he was gracious enough to send me a pack that include all 4 of his flavors, as a mango colada, mojito, berry, and lemonade. And I loved all 4 of those flavors, but I tried them for the first time at different date times. So I didn't try them all 4 at once. So that's why you really, you just can't go wrong with this, really, especially with it coming warmer outside as at the time of this recording. It's heading into August. We're still at the early stages of August. It's still warm outside. So I know for myself, I love to get a little loosened up, but not feel so heavy. So, because I'm going to probably wear a tank top or something that shows a little more skin to be more breathable. So I think this is that's a great option, honestly. So for, if you're interested in trying some of Cove's Hard Yerba Mate, go to hardyyerbamate.com, hardyyerbamate.com. So scroll around, look for some options. If you like some of this flavor, add it onto your cart. Some of that flavor, add it onto your cart. If you want a sweater, t-shirt, whatever it could be apparel-wise, add that in also. Because before you check out, use the discount code KeoniChatsKove, KeoniChatsKove, to get 25% off your total purchase. That is huge. Thank you, Josh, and the folks at Cove for supporting the show and giving the fans of the show, always incentives. Incentives. It's kind of a bad way, but it's also like, I love discount codes. This is my first time ever having a discount code, so I feel freaking over the moon. So, and I've had this for probably a good 3 or 4 months. So, I again ecstatic. I can't thank Josh and the folks at Cove enough for this opportunity and their belief in the show. So, check it out. You must be 21 years and older to purchase any alcohol from Cove. The discount code is still good on apparel. And everyone, please enjoy responsibly. Yeah, and that's how we met. It's just because I follow you on Instagram, and then I saw that you started Dixon Fit, and then you had your community workouts starting at, like, I believe Lincoln High School, jumping around kind of the Portland, Beaverton area. And I was just like, okay, A, a workout sounds great in the sunshine. B, it's Dennis Dixon. I gotta go. I gotta go. How many people like just said like, oh, I want to go? Like, did they seeing people's excitement when they see you in person? What does that do for you?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. For me, what I've done now, almost like 14, 15 plus years now, down the way in Eugene, it still resonates with a lot of people here in the Portland community. And like you say, people just want to be around me, and I just want to be available.
Mm-hmm.
I just want everybody to see that I'm a humble individual that is all about community and just wanting change for them if they want it. I'm gonna continue to push them. I'm gonna continue to challenge them outside of their comfort zone, and just doing it in the fitness mentality, regardless of whatever your fitness level is. I can definitely to accommodate that, and I say throughout high school, college, and the pro, I definitely got a good system as to what it takes to kind of really get your body 100% for sure. With that, and obviously the certifications to follow it with ISSA, I'm definitely heading in the right direction for myself.
Yeah, people follow you on Instagram. You do these insane workouts, which I don't even know how you are in one piece after some of the things I've seen you do. It's like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of just transitions into me just being a competitor, just me being an athlete. When someone tell you you can't do something, you're going to do it.
Hmm.
So I'm willing to almost break an ankle, all of that stuff in some of these challenges. I won't go that far, but I'm
Yeah, yeah,
almost to
yeah,
that
yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah.
I'm almost to that point. But I'm just that create not competitive, to be honest. And it's definitely resonated with a lot of people, and I've been meeting a lot of good people in this limelight too. So the
Hmm.
fitness world is forever growing, and I'm just happy to kind of see how I can put my imprint on it. How can I differentiate myself from other trainers, not
Hmm.
only locally but from like worldwide. So you always trying to put your stamp on certain things. The background goes a long way, but
Yeah, yeah.
if you got other things to kind of follow that, that's all I can ask for. So developing little relationships along the way, that's huge for me too. So I'm happy where I'm at now for sure.
So I wanted to ask you about this off season, Derrick Henry. So he posted, I think, one of his workouts where he's doing push-ups with a like in a squat rack with a band hold like going across it, and then he's doing push-ups holding the band with chains, and his feet are on one of those like balancing balls.
Yeah.
Is have you seen that? Is it something you want to try for yourself?
That's funny you said that. I got called out for that. I did that maybe about
Really?
a month. I did that about a month ago. So
Oh, I must have
if
missed it.
if you can go on my on my profile, you'll see it on there for sure. So
Yeah.
it's things like that. It's like you've been around that. He's a part of a brotherhood that I was in the
Hmm.
NFL. So we all connected some kind of way, and people are always trying to see what I can be able to do. I just want along the process. I want other people to try things as well too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I think those things are really insane. To be honest, some things I try to kind of really tailor that now because I want people to kind of develop and to get into that point. So I
Hmm.
try to create challenges and stuff that are somewhat a beginner mindset,
Yeah.
an intermediate, and then we can get to the elite. So it's a process to it too, and I try to show that through Dixon Fit as well.
You should be like elite dash. Let's get crazy.
Yeah, for sure. That should be the last one.
So one of the last things I want to ask you is that you got to return back to Eugene in the Mashowski Stadium to be a part of the 2021 University of Oregon Pro Day, where you got to throw it to some tight ends, receivers. Who came to you about being a part of that, and what was it like just to be in front of scouts again, just to be in that
Uh,
like mind community again?
yeah, the football operations, Jeff Hawkins, everybody call him Hawk. I've got a strong relationship with him.
Hmm.
He really helped me out as far as locating my agent and everything. The transition coming out of college, a lot of college players really don't get that, and I'm forever grateful to have that relationship with him. But he called me and asked if I wanted to come out and actually throw to some of the DBs because the
Oh,
DBs needed someone to throw to them. I'm
yeah,
like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Now
that's
I
different. I
can't not
usually
now.
throw away
It's just
from
super
them.
different. I usually throw, yeah, I usually
Yeah.
throw away from it. Now I gotta throw interceptions. How do I feel about that? I don't know, but I think it's kind of just really being in the fire again. It kind of got me excited, and it kind of got caught the eye of some of the tight ends that were there too. So I started off with the tight end first, and then I trickled into the DBs. Um, it was huge. It was huge for me. That's all
Yeah.
I really want to do now. I just want to throw to other people, knowing that my arm is still live and ready to go too. I'm still doing that here in the community as well.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
getting a lot of quarterbacks ready for the season, a lot of DBs ready, a lot of receivers ready. So I'm a live arm. I'm a live pro arm that is ready for
Yeah.
anybody in this area. Obviously, it's a premium price, of course, because you're going to get some good elite throws for sure.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that just attests to me just always being ready. And someone just called and asked if I can be a helping hand, and by me being in the fitness world, I'm always trying to make them better. So
Yeah.
by me being a part of their pro day, it was a big deal for me, and I really wanted to answer the bell for them to make sure they look good too.
Hmm.
Um, but at the same time, I had a job to do, and some of the scouts that were there, they were telling me to throw things on purpose, like high or wide or whatever. And being a pro quarterback, that's somewhat easy, as
Hmm.
opposed to asking someone from the street to kind of really throw a ball and you don't know where it's going. So
Hmm.
the scouts were definitely pleased, and some scouts that I kind of remember, when I was there, so some of them came up to me afterwards and asked, they was like, "Man, you still got it?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Tell your operations guy like I'm ready too, whenever." But it's just good to see.
Yeah.
I would love to kind of really be that live arm for anybody. As long as this arm is live, it's ready for anybody. To be honest.
There you go, man. There you go, man.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
anyone that's obviously because you're a public figure, people will probably check this out. If you are a scout for any of these local teams, in the CA, Washington or California or Vegas now,
Yeah.
come on, guys,
Yeah.
give
I
this man a
appreciate
call.
that
Give this man a
for
call.
sure.
All right, Dennis. I know you got a commitment, but I like to end my interviews by asking a couple hypothetical questions. So they could be think as much as you like, or if you just know immediately out the bat, perfect. So I'm just giving you two questions out of this packet of 170 questions.
Oh wow.
So my first question. So this kind of goes back when I picked these questions. I was like, okay, you do these workouts; they are a little weird because you're doing odd things. What weird thing would you make socially acceptable if you could?
Socially acceptable if I could. Well, it is socially acceptable right now. The Bosa ball that Derrick Henry was on,
Yeah.
utilizing that as a chair. To be honest, it helps support your back system, your back and everything too, making sure the spine,
Mm-hmm.
is upright.
Yeah.
I definitely utilize that from time to time. I'm happy you don't. I'm surprised you don't see it in my living room now, but I'm usually on one of those things too, to kind of continue to work on my balance. And obviously, low key,
Yeah.
when you lift your legs off, now you got to engage the core. So I love that ball
Ah,
through and through.
yeah. And then I know it
Yeah,
kind of also helps with your back if they have some tightness,
yeah,
just kind of
yeah.
work on puffing the chest out to make sure your
It's
posture is
really
nice and
good,
nice.
really good.
I,
That can be your little movable equipment right there. You can use that ball for so many things,
yeah.
so many things. Yeah.
Yeah. I think honestly, like there are times where I get in like this crazy phase of just wanting to do push-ups because it's just the easiest thing to do. Just go drop down, do like 10, 20 push-ups.
All right.
If the ground wasn't so disgusting, I would like let's just drop in everyone do like 10 push-ups or something like
All
that
right.
every hour. I don't
All
know.
right.
That'd be
I love it.
dangerous.
I
So
love it. I love it.
so the next question, if you could, I mean, again, this is thinking back to your history or your journey to become where you are today. If you can go back and hands down win any argument you've had with anyone, what argument would you choose to win?
Argument will I choose to win? Man.
Now, when I really thought like that you'd have some good answers.
Uh, what argument will I choose to win? A lot. Worst case is always between my mom and dad for sure
Yeah.
when it comes to certain situations. Like, my dad always had his opinions and my mom always had theirs. And at some point they will always come to meet in the middle, but sometimes it will used to be some tough conversations between sport and education. And I'm getting pulled this way. No, he got to go do his SAT. He got to go do his SAT studies right now. No, but I got to go do this one-on-one private session and everything. So I say between the conversation and when, I will always go with my mom for
Yeah.
sure. Like on anything. Sorry, Dad, but yeah, I have to go. I have to go with moms on every argument for sure and win.
Yeah. Like my brother and I think my dad are my biggest critics. So
Yeah,
anytime they like have this strict, like my dad was like, "Oh, you should follow everyone that graduated from your high school and do your show about them." I was like, "Hey, no, because that's just kind of narrowing down my demographic field of people I want to talk to." And then he's just consistently telling me I should do this. So it's like if I could win this argument, I'll be like, that's the one. Be
that's
like,
the one.
accept my
Yeah.
views.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
So Dennis, where can people find you on social media, and where can they learn more about Dixon Fit?
They're going to follow me on Droop10, DROOP, the number 10 on Instagram. I'm live on Pinterest as well, too. I have a more online presence there. I got a stronger following there, too, to be honest. So you can follow me as well there. I'm finding unique and creative ways on how to be able to work out from home sometimes there. So you can catch me on both of those. right now I'm in the process with my website to kind of
Mm,
really develop into the summer right now. But it is Dennis at DixonFit.com. But things are kind of really getting edited as we speak now. So
sure,
you can
sure.
catch me on those three things, and obviously you can email me for anything as well too.
Yeah, I insanely grateful that you taking time out of your Sunday to just come talk with me and
Of course.
reconnect again, because this is, I mean, just the fact that I could say like I've now had maybe 3 conversations with you. It's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, yes,
Whoa.
I appreciate it.
Whoa.
Well, I appreciate your journey too, man. I like where you're going. Continue to go, and things are definitely going to come out, in the bigger end too. So as long as you continue doing this and kind of continue to be confident throughout the process, things will come your way. I promise.
Thank you so much for sticking around until the end of the episode. If you like what you heard or watch and would like more episodes from Keoni Chats, the show can be found on all podcast platforms and YouTube under Keoni Chats. If you want to keep in the loop on other creative content releases, you can follow KC Media on Instagram and Twitter under KC Media 13. And then on Facebook, it'll be under Conlu K Media. So if you'd like to be a guest, email me at kcmedia13@yahoo.com. Tell me your story. I'd love to get you on the show. So until the next episode, everyone, please take care.